When we think about the ultimate test of our faith, human instinct immediately points to the valley. We assume our spiritual breaking point will arrive during seasons of sickness, financial ruin, or sudden tragedy. Because we fear the valley, our prayers naturally focus on escaping it. We ask for overflowing bank accounts, for perfect health and absolute security, operating under the assumption that if we finally secure enough, we will achieve lasting spiritual peace. But human psychology and history reveal a different pattern. The most devastating spiritual collapses rarely occur at rock bottom. They happen at the absolute peak of success. When you are entirely out of options, you are forced to rely on God. But when your resources are seemingly infinite, that necessary friction disappears, leaving a dangerous illusion that you are entirely self-sufficient. Look at this illustration of King Solomon. In 1 Kings chapter 4, he is the historical case study of a man who literally has everything. His borders are secure, the economy is booming. The text uses the sand on the seashore, seen here, as the metric for his exploding population. Yet right inside this ancient text detailing a perfect kingdom, we find the exact ingredients that will eventually destroy it. Solomon's golden age acts as a spiritual stress test for anyone chasing success today, revealing the unique pressures that mount when a person finally has everything. The breakdown begins in the first 19 verses. Solomon slowly shifts away from seeking divine guidance and starts relying entirely on his own brilliant, man-made systems. Solomon carved Israel into 12 organized districts to keep his massive royal court supplied. But in practice, he shields his own tribe of Judah from the cost, placing a crushing, disproportionate tax burden on the northern territories. That unequal taxation funded a lifestyle so lavish it triggered another consequence: the numbing effect of absolute comfort. With overflowing storehouses and a massive standing army to protect them, Solomon's spiritual sensitivity dulled. He began placing his trust in military horses and chariots instead of the covenant he made with God. When you engineer a life of complete financial security, you eliminate the daily friction that keeps you humble. A leader heavily insulated by wealth easily loses their moral compass and their compassion for the people at the bottom of their system. Success of this magnitude also introduces a new kind of pressure: the sheer velocity of a global reputation. Solomon possessed an intellect that outpaced every philosopher in the East, attracting a relentless schedule of diplomats and kings. As you can see anchored in this text, his output was staggering. He authored 3,000 proverbs and over 1,000 songs, acting as a polymath who mastered botany, zoology, and architecture. Managing a global intellectual reputation and a packed diplomatic schedule aggressively squeezed out the quiet, unglamorous time he needed for intimacy with God. Pride quietly replaced his humility. Protecting this massive, wealthy empire eventually required a shift from divine trust to political pragmatism, secured through dozens of political marriages. To accommodate his new alliances, he began tolerating foreign idols in his capital. What started as diplomatic courtesy steadily normalized idolatry right in the center of Israel. Immense success creates its own gravitational pull. Once you build an empire, the desperate need to protect that empire will eventually convince you to justify small, steady moral compromises. Solomon's reign ends in profound irony. His exceptional gifts and infinite wealth became his absolute prison because he allowed the blessings to detach him from the blesser. Those hidden administrative fractures and moral compromises we analyzed in Chapter 4 caused the entire nation to rip apart into two warring factions immediately after his death. We read this ancient autopsy today because we are wired to chase the exact same things Solomon had. We want the promotion, the financial independence, and the social influence. True wisdom is recognizing that earthly achievements are actually dangerous snares if they don't actively push us closer to God. We often prepare for the trials of the valley, but the ultimate test of faith is maintaining a posture of dependence when your hands are completely full.